Welcome to the second hour of our program. On the line with us, our good friend Phil Ittner, the veteran war correspondent based out of Kyiv, Ukraine, host of the brilliant On the Edge podcast, which you can find wherever fine podcasts are available. He also has a video blog over on YouTube. Just plug in his name, Philip Ittner, Philipittner, and you'll get it. Ittner Philip, his name backwards is his Twitter handle. Phil, welcome back to the program. It seems like there's been a lot of news coming out of Ukraine recently, including capturing Russian territory and Russia just bombing the crap out of you guys. How are you holding up and what's up?
Well, you're right. Unfortunately, they have been, as you say, bombing the crap out of us. We've been hit quite hard in Poltava. There's a kind of a military school or institution there. We're looking at over 50 dead there. We're looking at also, double digits dead in the western city of Lviv. And we're getting it every day here in the capital, here in Kyiv. So it's nonstop attacks on us, but also, obviously these announcements of what is happening in the United States, indicating that the attacks are not just here physically in Ukraine, but there are attacks in terms of information warfare going on in the United States.
Yep. Big bust of these folks who were previously associated with RT, which is no longer broadcasted in the United States, but apparently, all around the rest of the world. And they're, it's pretty grim stuff, Phil. I agree.
Well, I mean, it's nothing new to those of us who have kept a keen eye on information warfare that's been coming out of Ukraine. Yeah. The idea that millions of dollars are being spent in the information warfare that's happening in the United States, where we see folks who will regurgitate information, coming out of Russia, putting into our body politic. That's to those of us who have been paying attention to it, that's nothing new.
Yeah, no, and we've got a bunch of Republican politicians now who are repeating Russian talking points verbatim, constantly. Rand Paul I'd put at the top of that list, but even J.D. Vance now, the vice presidential candidate, is repeating Russian talking points. It's terrible. So to Ukraine, I understand that you guys only had the Ukrainian Air Force only has 6 F-16s and 1 crashed, and you lost a pilot last week. Did we talk about this last week, or has this happened since you and I last spoke?
No, that was last week, and we continue to have air defense issues. The Russians continue to attack us with a lack of air defense. Look, I mean, we have a lot, but it's not sufficient. And you can protect the capital, you can protect Odessa, but the issue is other towns like Poltava, which just lost, 50 plus human beings and, hundreds injured.
Right. Many of them children.
Including children, children. And we can look at Lviv, where tragically an entire family was decimated. Had they had Patriot systems, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So it's not just the capital and the major cities like Odessa that matter. We have to have air defense throughout the country, because they're literally trying to effect ethnic cleansing here, and and also bringing it back to the effect of what they're doing internationally when it comes to information warfare. This is all-encompassing attack on the West. It is not isolated to Ukraine. It is happening in the United States. It is happening throughout the West. And the sooner that the acknowledgement that this is a war that isn't just limited to Ukraine. Perhaps the better we can come to defending the West.
Yeah, with regard to the air defense, I think most Americans don't realize that Ukraine is the largest, physically largest country in Europe. It's the size of Texas. And protecting a country that size is a major undertaking, and they need a hell of a lot more help to do it, number one. Number two, to your point of information warfare, not just limited to, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance helping Russia here in the United States. In East Germany, I used to live in Germany, and in fact, I lived on the East German border. And the East has always been very kind of culturally conservative. But, Putin used to run that part of Germany, and he speaks fluent German. And we just had this election where the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland party, did really, really well in these eastern counties. And I'm thinking that the reason they did so well, when you look at the issues that they're talking about, which are principally, anti-gay, anti-immigrant, that kind of culture war stuff, that I'm seeing the fingerprints of Russian propaganda all over this, that Russia has had a huge influence, just like they did in England when Russian trolls helped Brexit to happen. What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. I think that the primary attack that Russia inflicts upon the West is sow and divide. It is whether it is Brexit or whether it is the AfD or whether it is Donald Trump, frankly, their intent is to divide us, and to, in so doing, not be able to focus our attack on the threat that they pose, whether it is here in Ukraine, and obviously the Ukrainian war is their primary focus, but it is also to divide and conquer internally within Western liberal democracies in Europe, but also the transatlantic division. And, if you listen to them, they'll be very actually quite open about this. Why it is that we in the West continue to ignore what they themselves say their intent is very frustrating for those who here in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's problematic. You're one of the most thoughtful and well-informed observers of the scene there, particularly of Russia's role in with right-wing politics and all this kind of stuff, but just, what Russia's up to. And I know you speak Russian, I believe. And
badly.
Yeah, but your Russian's probably like my German, but we can both get around in those languages. So last week I was seeing reports, and I think I mentioned to you that in June, Louise and I were in both Latvia, Estonia, Finland, and Sweden. And what we heard in every single country was that they are all scared to death, particularly Latvia and Estonia, of Russian invasion. And at the time, and multiple people told me this everywhere I went, I kind of thought, I think that's pretty unlikely. But then last week, there were these reports that some of the people close to Putin are talking about that NATO just doesn't have the courage to respond, and that they should make some small incursions into either Estonia or Latvia, or maybe Lithuania. And keep in mind, these are relatively small countries. Latvia only has 5 million people. I don't know the population of Estonia, but I believe it's under 6 million. Make some small incursions into their eastern borders, and just see what kind of response it provokes. And if it doesn't provoke a big response, then just invade the damn countries. And that would solve his Ukraine problem. It would divert the attention away from what's going on in Ukraine. What do you think of that?
I think the possibility of them actually invading the Baltics is more in terms of a larger geopolitical war than I think they themselves think that they can tackle. But they can threaten the Baltics, and that will make the West think twice about what they do. much of what Moscow threatens is not actually what they intend to do, more in terms of frightening the West, so that they don't stand strong with a stiff spine, because they know they can't take on.
Well, it seems like this kind of threat would actually cause us to be more aggressive in support of Ukraine as a blocking procedure.
If they were to actually invade or make some sort of infiltration, whatever it is, into the Baltics, yes, absolutely.
They're doing digital warfare there right now, by the way. You know that, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely, 100%. And they test this theory. They are constantly pushing the envelope as to what they can do without a Article 5 reaction.
Right.
They know that if there's an Article 5, that they will be in serious trouble. They can't take on Ukraine, much less the might of the entire NATO bloc. So they're pushing the boundaries of this. If they were to actually do something which was undeniably an aggressive act against the Baltics, it would call into question Article 5. And to call into question Article 5 is basically to question whether or not the NATO alliance itself has any strength to it.
Right. Resolve.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, if Donald Trump goes back into the Oval, that will a threat to Article 5 will be even more.
I think that would precipitate an invasion of the Baltics, frankly. What do you think?
That's right. That's absolutely right. So
maybe this is prep for the Trump presidency that they're trying to help make happen.
Potentially, yes. Yeah, absolutely. They're threatening us. They're constantly threatening us.
Yeah.
This information warfare that's happening right now, when we look at Tenet media, where it's all these guys, the Tim Pools and what have you, that is an overture to an information warfare attack, and how we respond to it is will decide whether or not there will be more of these kinds of information attacks from the
great Phil Ittner. You can check out his On the Edge podcast. Hang on just a second here, Phil. I'm going to get stepped on.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
There we go. Phil, thanks so much for dropping by. It's always informative. Thank you so much.
And you, Tom.
Thank you. We'll be right back.